Hey guys, Epidemic 2020 here, and I want to make a quick video on Kim Davis. Now I know I'm a bit late to the party, but I'm hoping I'm going to add some things you might not have thought about before. Alright, so a quick update for those of you that have been living under a rock. Kim Davis is a county clerk who lives in Kentucky, and she's been refusing to offer marriage licenses because she has a religious belief that says gay marriage is unacceptable. Right, so she's actually now been pushing for something called religious accommodation, which is a method by which her office can still get the job done, can still issue all the marriage licenses that they're requested to, and that she personally can turn a blind eye to it and not get involved with it. Now, in the past video, I argued that religious accommodation, the ability to keep working for a company you think is doing evil and then turn a blind eye when what you think is the dirty work gets done, is more akin to moral cowardice than it is to the moral high ground, but I digress. That's the topic for last video. Let's blaze some new ground here. A lot of people have been saying separation of church and state has been violated in Kim Davis's case. And I agree, but maybe for different reasons than you might think. Alright, separation of church and state gives us two things. One, it says you can believe whatever religious view you want. And two, it says the government can't force you to hold any additional religious beliefs. So essentially, it gives you the freedom to have whatever religion you want and to not have whatever religion you want. The government cannot decide those things for you. That being said, Kim Davis was a government employee. So when she worked, she did so on behalf of the government. And she decided to stop issuing marriage licenses for religious reasons. And she works on behalf of the government. So put those things together. That means that the government denied citizens marriage licenses due to a religious belief. That is the definition of imposing religious views on the citizens. Right, so Kim Davis literally violated separation of church and state. You cannot be in favor of Kim Davis and in favor of separation of church and state because those two things are inconsistent. So the government actually seems like they're in a tough position here. How is it that they can not violate Kim Davis's personal religious views, nor let her impose her religious views on the general populace? Well, the standard method for handling these kind of situations, a way you can have your cake and eat it too, so to speak, is by using religious accommodation. So typically, in someone like Kim Davis's case, they just allow her to recuse herself and let one of her deputies issue the licenses instead. But Kim did not think this accommodation was sufficient and wanted additional religious accommodation. Now, before we get on to talking about how much religious accommodation is needed, or would be useful to have here, let's first talk about religious accommodation in general. The only time you need religious accommodation is when your religious view is inconsistent with some aspect of your job. So let's first make sure that Kim's religious views are actually at odds with her job. Right? So what is Kim Davis's religious view? Well, her view is that homosexuals cannot have a marriage which is approved by God. That God does not approve of gay marriage. Now, Kim Davis has freedom of speech. She can say whatever she wants, and the government cannot force her to say something at odds or contradictory to her religious views. So the government cannot force her to say that God approves of gay marriage. That would be a violation of her freedom of speech. I think it's actually called compelled speech. The government cannot compel her to say something which is inconsistent with her religious views. So, does the government attempt to compel her to say something akin to God approves of marriage? Kim Davis thinks so. She believes that by having her signature on the forms, she's a county clerk, so her signature is on pretty much all the documents. By having her signature on the forms, that either that's the government forcing her to say God approves of marriage, or it sends the message that she personally approves of marriage. So here's the question, and it kind of all boils down to this. Does Kim Davis's signature signify her or her deity's approval of gay marriage? Now, signatures can signify approval. If I was to give you guys a petition and you signed it, it would mean that you approve of whatever it is I'm petitioning for. But what about if you're driving on the highway and a cop gives you a ticket and then you have to sign the ticket? Does that mean you approve of the ticket? No, it just certifies that you understand what's going on and that you're gonna handle it. It doesn't even signify your guilt in that case. So in Kim Davis's case, does signing the marriage license signify that she or God approves of the marriage? Or does it just signify that the couple applying for the union meet the state's qualifications? You guys tell me. And a couple quick shout outs here. I want to thank Prof MTH here on YouTube for helping me not look like a buffoon when talking about law. And I want to thank Rob the Monk 8 for being too lazy to make his own video about this topic and inspiring me to. As always, test everything, hold on to the good.